This evening on Prime Central, we discuss the rise in the use of cannabis among the young people in the UK and pose the question, is the use of cannabis always bad?
I believe that it is the most dangerous drug out there. It's a gateway drug that can lead to cocaine, MDMA and much worse drugs that can damage people's lives.
Also on the show, one of our reporters takes a trip to Mass Record Studios to talk to Birmingham's newest band, Override, as they pick up a Best Band in Birmingham award, despite losing a band member. Plan for the week ahead with our weather report with Lucy Knight. So, join us tonight for all this and more at 6:30 on Channel 3.
The radio advert contains sound bites of teasers for tonight's news. This will intrigue the audience to want to watch. We use the same non-diegetic music that we use in our title sequence so that people begin to recognise the tune and create a brand around the news programme. The radio advert was fast-paced and only contained brief information about what will be included in the news programme, so people want to find out more.
We developed under recognised codes and conventions as we made sure that we didn't disenfranchise other cities within the Midlands, as we didn't include the Bull as our news wasn't aimed at just Birmingham. We challenged Miriam's views. As a group we decided to not include the Bull. Before we started production, we analysed existing TV news broadcasts and identities on Prezi to see what codes and conventions they include. This helped us to choose which codes we wanted to develop on and which ones we wanted to challenge. We made sure to use a fast-paced rhythm to be our background music during the title sequence in order to engage the audience. We included the jingle in order for people to recognise it on a frequent basis and associate it with our news identity. We went for a simple animated bug in which the globe spins within the second initial of our brand name, Prime Central. It looks professional and fits well with the colours we picked for our hairstyle, which were different shades of blue. We use blue as a primary colour and it's quite bold. This gives off the impression that our brand identity is quite formal and serious. To get to our finished logo look, we had to plan out many different designs of image editing software. We embedded this spinning globe into our brand identity as we followed the instructions from our teacher to do so due to the fact that it looked quite professional and because we used it very frequently in our main task already. We didn't name...
Good evening, this is Lucas Dolan
and Brianne Winspear from Prime Central, bringing you the evening's latest headlines. News to come.
Rise of cannabis amongst young people in the UK.
I believe that it is the most dangerous drug out there. It's a gateway drug that can lead to cocaine, MDMA and much worse drugs that can damage people's lives.
One of our reporters heads to Mass Records to talk to the best band in Birmingham.
The top story this week is the recent rise of the possession of cannabis amongst young people. Over the past year, more and more young people between the ages of 16 and 24 have been caught possessing drugs.
Recent studies show that 15.8% of young adults across the UK have used the drug more than once in the past year. This has risen from 11.2% in 2014. This raises the question, is it all that bad?
I believe that it is the most dangerous drug out there. It's a gateway drug that can lead to cocaine, MDMA and much worse drugs that can damage people's lives.
I'm not completely against cannabis because I think that it doesn't cause as many physical and harmful effects to the body as things like alcohol and smoking does, which are legal, and it doesn't really make sense that cannabis is illegal for that reason.
I think people should be able to do what they want as long as they're not harming themselves, but I don't necessarily condone it.
We didn't name any of the people in our vox pops as they were just random citizens we have asked to answer a few questions for us. We didn't want the audience to build a relationship with them as there was no real need.
We made a storyboard before we actually filmed in order to have an idea in what we wanted our presenters to wear. We had a desk which has a blue cover on it to match our house style. We used a screen which had a background overlooking the city during the evening time, which works with our broadcast as we're urged to broadcast at prime time. The picture also elicits a comfortable atmosphere as it is a recognisable picture for the local audience. We also used lights to remove any shadows to give our broadcast a professional look. We've developed on existing TV news codes and conventions by including all of these features in our studio. For our outfits, the presenters wore blue ties to match the style, and all the presenters wore formal attire, which fits with the convention of other news programmes. We also included blue name supers with the globe on the end. This is so the audience knows the names of the presenters and further constructs that relationship. We used Torodov's theory of equilibrium and Barth's Enigma theory to help us design and write a creative script which engages the target audience and makes them eager to watch our broadcast completely. We used a two-shot on our presenters to show equality and direct address onto the audience. It also allows us to form a relationship with the audience by looking directly at them through the camera.
A university in Newcastle has launched research projects on the side effects of cannabis, specifically on health. The results confirm that the health risks are minimal, although there are scenarios in which it could be fatal, such as driving whilst under the influence, as it slows down your reaction time.
Furthermore, recent police reports show that in Birmingham, more than 15 police raids on cannabis plantations have been carried out over the past year. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the main story, and now for any rock fans out there, a new Birmingham band has been signed by Mass Records. For more on the subject, over to our reporter Will.
The stories we used were mainly targeted at middle-aged audiences, but we also expanded our sphere of influence onto the younger generation by incorporating John Hartley's theory of classifications through the use of the family category. As the stories we covered were interesting to both audiences, we used surveys in order to gain an idea of what kind of stories people would like to see covered on the news. This led us to conclude that we needed to cover a story that influences both audiences.
Today I am here with the Birmingham-based band Overprice. They have recently won a competition for the best band in Birmingham and signed a record label with Mass Records, so let's go meet the band. First of all, what inspired you to start the band?
Well, I just started playing guitar and then Tom was tapping on the table. Physics lessons. And just sort of started from there. I told him you should get a drum set, and he did. And then we started writing songs. Alex wrote Caesar Red. And then
I joined it about 6 months after you.
Been going for a while.
What got you started to follow music?
I've been listening to music all my life, so it's not. It started. I've just been listening to Metallica, all these bands, Red Hot Chili Peppers, most of my life. So it's not really a case of starting out.
I think that's the same for most of us, or is that?
Yes, yeah. I used to listen to like Foo Fighters and the Colour Mom and Tracy. Like, shut up.
Shout out to
Tracy. What about you?
I just listen to music when I'm like fucking
That's
first.
like
Your plans for the band? Yeah. No, we're already got the best band in the world, so probably best band in the world. Award.
That's not far off, you know.
Nah.
To be fair, is that even an award?
Yeah.
To be fair, Ozzy Osbourne is from Birmingham.
No better.
He didn't get it. He didn't get it. Who's Ozzy Osbourne? Ozzy Osbourne who?
Blackhead.
Okay.
So recently, Amanda left. What impact did this have on the band?
It only really delayed our plans because we were planning on getting into the studio, but we had to kind of find a replacement or adapt to go without him. It definitely impacted me the most because I had to take up the lead guitar, and I needed to basically learn lead.
Yeah, so for like a few months, we didn't really do anything because we were focusing on trying to get good as a three-piece before we recorded or played them on YouTube.
Fourth and third, first gig is a three-piece. Stop lower lounge.
Let's see all that.
Who knows?
What don't you tell us about your sound, your music, and what you're looking for?
There's grunge influences.
Yeah.
but we're all influenced by something different.
Yeah, and it comes together and it just kind of meshes into it.
Big three influences are Chili Peppers, Metallica, Nirvana.
Yep. Imagine all of us having like a baby. Not the process, but the outcome.
What are you getting out of your deal with your new record label?
Recording time, that's the main thing, and gigs.
3 8-hour sessions to record a song.
And then mixing sessions.
Yeah.
We would get rehearsal time, but we do that elsewhere. Because and then we can use the rest of our time.
We don't want to travel to Wolverhampton every time I practice.
It's inconvenient.
Finally, what is it like to be labelled as the best band in Birmingham?
You tell me.
What is it like to be interviewing the best band in Birmingham?
Tomorrow. Should be.
Okay, we don't hear.
This has been William Sullivan with Override. Back to you in the studio. We used the story of a brand new band being the best in Birmingham to diffuse the tension caused by the hard news. We included an interview in which an exclusive insider was recorded on the accolades of the band. We faded out the soft news story with a presentation of pictures and a recording of the band playing to give people watching an idea of the talent this band possesses.
Thanks, Will. That's all from us tonight. And now over to Lucy with the weather.
Good evening. I'm Lucy Knight from the Daily Weather Report. Today we have seen sunshine and cloud with a few spots of rain. Here we have a lovely photo of Earlswood, sent in from one of our weather watchers, Lillian. Thank you, Lillian. The remainder of today's cloud is expected to clear away in an easterly direction as evening draws in, leaving a dry evening. However, we won't be having another good night tomorrow, as the clouds from earlier in the day will stay with us. Wednesday morning will continue to trend with the cold, frosty wind surfacing throughout the Midlands to make for another cold night. That's all from us today. I'll be back with your local weather at the same time tomorrow.
We used a green screen to apply a graphic that was created in Photoshop of a map of the local area. We then created individual graphics in the same software and then animated them in Coral Video Studio Pro. We use transitions and animations as this is more entertaining for the audience to watch and makes it easier for them to follow what is happening. We use the sound of rain at the beginning of the weather so it gives them an idea of what to expect from the weather. Similarly, we edited our logo to contain a globe with rain inside.